Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning coaching call. And we're just getting started here. People are starting to come into the room. Here with Bill Free, Linda Leland, and Judy Morton. Welcome, you guys.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Exciting.
Good morning.
Good morning, Saturday morning. Got the coffee. Coffee. That's right. Water. What do you got, Bill?
I have my water.
Got the water.
Yeah.
I have that too.
Right. And what is that? Is that green juice or is that water?
Green juice. Good.
What else you got? No, it's water. In a green glass.
In a green glass, yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited about this call, and I see people coming in. And thank you guys for showing up here. There's a chat function. You'll see it at the top of the screen. You can just, hi, Kitty. So I'm not sure if your question came in, so if you can just post it right there, and we'll make sure that we get to it. And we're just going to get started. We got a lot of great questions that came in, stuff on body issues, fear still coming in. How can we tell the difference between God's voice and the ego? What to do about seeing loved ones suffer? Just a lot of miscellaneous questions also. And, you know, we really just love to hear from you. That's really what this 40-day program and all of the programs that the Teachers of God Foundation are about, is really that you're going through the transformation, you get the support and the encouragement and the help that you need. And we find that it's really good not to hide your questions, like really come forth and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. And you'll see how fast that you're brought back to your center and you can remember the truth. And so we're really grateful that you're here with us. And this awesome team, Linda Leland, Bill Free, Judy Morton, and we have Amy Starr Allen, who is behind the scenes, and she makes us all look good. She's the one that makes it all happen, really. I mean, there's all the technical stuff that we do, the videos, the webinar, all of that. It takes a village. So, Bill, I would love if you can open us up in prayer.
Okay, thank you. I am hearing an echo. Are you guys hearing an echo?
Not me.
Okay, so I'm going to come off the air. When you guys do the prayer, I'm going to come back in the room.
Okay, well,
Okay,
Judy Morton is a pro, and she always loves to jump in with the prayer. So, Judy, if you would lead us.
Okay. So everybody just take a deep breath in. And
I can't hear Judy.
No sound. No sound.
Trinity's saying she hears an echo too, but only with Bill. Well, maybe he's fixing that. I can do puppet animals while we wait.
Yeah. Okay, well, Linda, we're going to bring it to you now. Would you like to do the prayer?
Sure. Judy, can we hear you? I'll do the prayer. Okay, everybody, let's just arrive right here and feel the present moment. Leave everything from before this moment behind. Leave your thoughts about the rest of the day behind. Just really come fully. To the static.
And you know what I love about this? I mean, the thing is it's always, everything is a learning experience. And that's the static that goes on in our life all the time, you know. And
Absolutely.
to me, this is the focus and the vigilance that's required. Like that, we're constantly being distracted by the static in our life, and obviously we want it to go away and we want to fix it. Feel Free is on it, and
Like a bonnet. So just everyone, just bring yourselves right here and be grateful. You set this appointment. You set this time for your awakening. You set all of these mighty companions. You made that companions. You made this agreement to come in and join with us all here today. And we're so grateful for each other. We're so grateful for the strength in our joining. We're so grateful for the capacity to have an open heart and to be here, willing to do this work, way ahead of the game. Willing to see things differently, willing to live a life of love, and to remember the truth of who we are and see it in every single other situation or being that seems to come before us. This is the only reason we came. And we thank you for your guidance, Lord. We thank you for your love. Amen.
Amen.
thanks so much.
Did you even hear that? Is my sound on? No.
Yes, your sound is on. It sounds a little staticky.
Whose is it?
It's Linda's.
Oh, okay.
It's me?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
If you have some other earbuds, grab them.
Okie dokie, I'll be right back. I think I do.
Thanks.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for Judy to come back in, I thank you guys for being here. And there's a lot of people here in this room. And I'm just so grateful. And I just wanted to open up with a few opening statements here before we get to the questions. But you guys have made a decision and a commitment to go through the transformation. If you're watching this and you're in the 40-day program, then something called you to do this work. And that I know to be true. And in my experience, it's lifelong. That this is not something that we just do for 40 days and wait for our lives to improve. The 40-day program, to me, has always been nothing more than an activation. It's a place where you begin. You make a break from your old way of thinking, from your old life, and you have a direct experience of the light that you are. And so you will give yourself this great gift by sitting in a space, watching yourself like a hawk. And you make a decision, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm as much as I can not going to blame other people. And you come into this place where you take full responsibility. Hi, Judy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, perfect. Everybody's
Okay.
here. It's all good now. Fantastic. And this is always has been, A Course in Miracles, is a call for miracle workers. It is a call for individuals who want to dedicate their minds and their life to love. And one of the things that's been curious for me is to think about, there are so many people in this world that are in a place of so much depression and so much darkness and fear that they literally can't get out of it. It's just like no matter how much they want it, it's like there's no movement there. It's just that story pulls them so deeply into it. And, people suffering. They don't have money. They don't have a place to live. They have addictions, disease, cancer, death, all of these things. And in a space of so much darkness that it's like there's no movement. And you guys have experienced the movement already. It's that movement where something in your mind said, I'm going to do things differently. If you have any idea the power of that decision, you know, in AA, they always say the decision has to come from you. Your loved ones can't help you to make this decision. And everyone's trying to help other people. And it's like it has to come from each and every one of us to say, I'm going to live in a new way. I am done with the old way of living. And you don't know how it's going to happen, but as soon as you make that decision, all the power rushes in to support that decision. And to me, that's what the community is here, and all the Facebook groups that we have, is you start to feel supported. You start to feel I'm not alone. And as I look at these questions, I love them. I can't wait to get going on them. But every single question that any one of us can ever ask, ever, and myself included, I want us to look at this logically, and you will be amazed, but every single question that you have locates yourself in a body, in a world, in form, with a past, and with a future, no exception. There is no exception to that. And I want you to really look at that. I want you to look at every time you have a question now, I want you to see it. Oh, I'm identifying myself as a body and I have a problem. A question is a focus on the form. It just is. And it's not that any questions are bad, because what the question does is it brings you to a place where you can open your mind up to remembering the truth. So a question, inherent in the question, is a unconscious belief in separation all the time. The question, I just want you to look at it. It suggests there's a problem. And A Course in Miracles tells us one problem, one solution. The problem is the belief in separation. The solution is remembering the truth, that you are the light. Every single one of these questions, as we go through it, it's a redirection of your focus and your attention from the problem to the love, to the light, to God's will. That you're allowing the body to disappear from your experience. You're still going to have it. It's still there, but it's not your focus anymore. You're suddenly letting the light lead. You're letting yourself, you know, and Bill's going to talk about this when he comes on, is you now become the awareness that's watching the problem. You're no longer the problem. You're no longer stuck in the body. You now focusing on remembering I am the light. I am the love. And now you're allowing that light to just flow. It's flowing out. And in that, my experience is problems disappear. They just go one by one. They fall because the light dissolves the darkness. It's a law. And it's a direct experience. You can't think about that. You have to actually begin to practice it. You begin to really pray, what is God's will for me? What is I to do today, letting love lead me? And now you're letting the light be all that there is. And like I said, this is a lifelong practice. So for anybody who has completed the 40-day program, I congratulate you. That's awesome. And I encourage you to keep going. You're here as a savior of the world, to use your mind to find all the blocks and to keep letting them go. So I and everyone here encourage you to make a commitment, make a new commitment to dedicate your whole life to this work of healing and forgiveness and remembering the truth of what you are. And the fastest way I know is to make a commitment to A Course in Miracles. It will take you step by step right through the undoing of your thought system of fear. And all you need is the book. There's 31 chapters. Make a commitment to read them all. Make a commitment to the workbook lessons, 365 workbook lessons. And you'll begin to see that you're hearing God's voice very clearly. You are being led now. You're not identifying yourself as the body. And then we have lots of programs that will support you as you go forward in this. Living in Purpose is for anyone who wants to do A Course in Miracles from start to finish. And you make a commitment to live and embody these ideas every single day. So that's Living in Purpose. There is ACIM 365 for the workbook lessons. If Living in Purpose is too much of a commitment, if the financial part is too much, there's 10-minute audios from me every single day that will support you to go through those workbook lessons. Takes 1 year. We have a new awesome program, True Prosperity, for anyone who has money issues and fear around money. And just so much love and support for you. And again, you don't need any of it. You really have everything you need. You have a guide. But we want you to be aware of these things. Is that this really is that activation is the 40-day program, that light. You become aware of the light that you are, and don't stop after 40 days. And if you're in your 40 days, just keep going. Don't distract yourself with anything else, but just keep on going. And you begin to see your life begins to open up. And to me, the most important, exciting part is hearing this voice of knowing that you are the light and letting it lead the way. So I thank you with all of my heart. And I've asked Linda to open up, because I think one of the biggest ones is this fear still comes in issue.
And I just want to add to what you just said, Lisa. Thank you so much. But right now, we're including ACIM 365 with Living in Purpose. So just they come together. So that's really awesome. So hi, welcome everybody. I'm Linda Leland, and I love this question because it makes me happy to be able to answer it, because it's such good news. And if there's one question that I answer more than any other in this program, as we coach people and guide people and support people, it's this question, and it comes in so many different forms. So just want to read a couple of these questions, or just give you an example of what I mean. Somebody named Linda, how do I stop the blocking thoughts, the thoughts that block me? Karen wants to know, I'm trying to do my workbook lessons, but I keep getting interrupted by ego thoughts. Help. Martha, I did the 40-day twice, and I feel like I'm failing in my life. Please guide me. Joe, please help me deal with resistance. Jennifer, how do I move from my head to my heart without having fear derail me? So they're all really saying the same thing, that fear is coming up. And you know, we start with the 40-day, or something happens in our lives where we learn that there's a new way. Somebody shows us there's a new way of thinking. That, you know, a miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. And somebody showed us that, and it felt amazing. Maybe there was something that you've been just worrying about or thinking about in your life, and you came into the 40-day program, and you saw that there was a new way to look at it, and it's just like a wonderful feeling, and we feel on fire, and we see what fear has done in our lives, and we say, and it just seems so clear, and we're like, I'm totally done with that, and I'm so excited. And then, you know, just think that we're going to have this Oprah aha moment, and we start to do this work, and fear comes up even more, and fear is still coming up, and you're like, but wait, I thought I was done with this. Yeah. And you know, these programs and A Course in Miracles is basically a manual for you to become aware of the fears and the thoughts that are lurking below. You've always had them; they've always been there, but they've sort of been unchecked. You haven't even been aware that that's really what's been running the show. So when we become aware of this, it feels pretty terrible. But we have to become aware of these fears before we can release them and before we can be free from them. So, you know, I'd like to joke around with people. So you came into these programs, or you bought A Course in Miracles, and you said, I It's so important to me now that I know to remove the blocks to the presence of love that I am. And I joke with people all the time and I say, what did you think, they were going to be licked off by kittens? They're going to rise up so that you can become aware of them and release them. As long as you stay unaware, you're sleepwalking and they're running your whole life. So please, I want you to know that when these feelings come up, when these resistances come up, when these fears come up, it's really a great thing. They're in a place where you can do something about them. This is exactly what you asked for, and this is exactly what it looks like. And as long as you choose, if you look at the fear as how you're not doing it right, you feel guilty about it, or you think you should be further along than this, or you're judging yourself in any way for it, you stay stuck there. So if I could just get one thing across to everybody, when fear or resistance comes up, there's a gem in it for you. This is an opportunity for you. You asked for this, and this is the way it works. So the removal of the fear part is your responsibility. It seems like fear is involuntary, that it just comes at us out of nowhere, and that's not true. You are the only one that can remove the fear, and I'm going to explain that to you. As I said, fear comes in many forms. It has so many voices. Some seem louder, some seem smaller, some are about money or health or relationships or all sorts of things, germs, our pets. There's so many forms that fear comes in. No matter what the form, it is merely a symptom. It doesn't even really matter. It's just a symptom and not the cause. So the cause is feeling as though you are separate and alone and at odds with this huge universe. If you knew who you were, if you knew that you were one with God and you were guided and protected and loved and brilliant and eternal, you wouldn't fear anything. So feeling separate and living as though you're separate is going to bring up tons of fears. So, when we're praying to have the fear removed, that's impossible. What we have to pray for is to have our willingness to be shown, our oneness. We have to pray to see that. We have to pray to have the feelings of separation removed. Then you're getting to the root cause. As long as you're trying to solve the problem on the surface level and focus on the fear, that's not going to happen. It's not going to really get you anywhere, And when you're always trying to just fix the fear at the surface level, you can't help it. When you say I can't help it, you're absolutely right. You can't help it at that level. You need to get to the root cause of every single solitary fear, and it's that you think you're separate and alone, and you think you're separate from God. And that makes it for a very fearful world. And those fears aren't coming out of nowhere. And like I said, on the surface level, you really can't make it go away. So, and we can temporarily patch these fears over and over again for 500 lifetimes. For example, if you're afraid of money and you hit the lottery, now you're going to be afraid of losing your money. Or maybe you'll be afraid of people taking advantage of you. You can be afraid of illness, and you might be cured of some certain illness, but you're going to be afraid of the illness coming back. Whatever you're trying to fix there'll always be one fear after the other, unless you really handle the root cause, and that is thinking you're alone and separate and not putting your life in God's hands. And it seems like that thought of separation is an unconscious thought, and it is at first, but now that you really have everything that you need to address it. And that part is your responsibility. That is treating the root of the fear. Because fears only exist in a mind that thinks it's separate. Mm-hmm. And A Course in Miracles say that we are way too tolerant of these fear thoughts. We hang out with them much too much, where we passively accept them. And we're just too tolerant with all those thoughts, and we'll hang out with those fears for years and years and lifetimes and hours and minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the one solution is to get to the root cause, to see, I'm worried about money. I am worried about loneliness. I am worried about old age. I'm worried about all these things because I think I'm this separate body at odds with this huge universe. So, I think we can all think of different things we're afraid of right now. Call a few of them to your head. I'm sure if there's 100 people on this call, there are 400 different fears, and they have many faces, but it's all one single fundamental error.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to think that we're separate and alone. And that's where we need to focus our attention when you feel scared. If you feel scared about money, if you feel scared about anything, or health or loved ones, please focus your attention on that.
Yep.
And that is absolutely handling the root cause. And A Course in Miracles says, when you're handling the fear on that level, now you can be guided and helped the whole way through. Just ask. Now the truth can come in. But as long as you're focusing on the symptom, it's really hard to get through. It's really hard to help you there. It's sort of like if I'm drinking sour milk every day and asking someone help me with my stomach ache. It's just, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a root cause that has to be dealt with. So when all these fears are coming up, remember you asked for them. This is your roadmap. This is an opportunity to see, like Lisa said earlier, where you're locating yourself, to see if you're feeling separate and alone, and it's an opportunity to heal that.
Mm-hmm.
You ask for that. You pray for that right then and there. It is happening. That's your only job. That is your responsibility. Like I said, when you heal the source, when you address the source, you can be guided. When you address the surface, you're not going to hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the fear voices are really loud. They are. I understand that. We all do. And that's why I love to have a community of people on the same journey that can remind me when I can't. And that's why in our programs, we really ask not to give advice or to address someone's story when we hear one another, but really always, always see the truth for each other. Because when you do that for someone else, when you remember that they're not separate and you're holding that for them, you're doing it for yourself. And when they're doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves. And in the joining is just so powerful. So I know I sort of went around, kind of roundabout here, but I just want to tell you how simple it is. And when these fears come up, it's showing you that you still feel separate and giving you another reminder. That angst, that worry, let that be a reminder, an alarm clock. Oh, I'm going to really address the root cause of this in this very moment. And the results will be absolutely amazing. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Linda. As I was listening to you, I loved what you said when you started, that fear is your responsibility. Like so often, I think we start on this path and we think, oh, it's just going to disappear. Like I've said yes to transformation. I've said yes to God. I'm willing to just do whatever it takes. And we can't understand, well, why am I still in fear then? And it literally has to become, each and every one of us has to become like a warrior. Like many of you who know me know I love Carlos Castaneda and his teacher, Don Vaughn, because I like the Toltec tradition of being a warrior. And really you begin to see that fear, if it's operating in your life, you're letting it stay there. And you come to a place when you're like, nope, nope, nope. It's like, why is fear coming in? Because that's just what fear does, but you don't have to let it be the boss of you, and you don't have to let it drive the bus. Like our job is to become, like you said, Linda, aware of the fear, just aware of it. We're like, all right. And every single time there's fear in my life, it's just exactly what you said. I think I'm alone. And the solution every single time is I remember, I'm not alone. There is a presence and a power that is with me, as me, walking with me, in me, that knows the way, and I trust in that. And then I can really begin to see, like, any fears that I've had is fear of death, fear of people thinking a certain way about me, fear of getting it wrong. It's like we all have our own individual fears. And then I just go like, what? No, that thing is not driving the bus anymore. I'm just going to be myself, authentic. And in that, the fear just goes away. You start to step forward. It's like, I'm afraid to do something. Okay, take a step. And as soon as you take a step, you realize, oh, that was easy. Like, we literally are fearing nothing. And I just think it's normal. So I love the question. I just think, like, we all have to really just start to, Jesus says it very clearly in A Course in Miracles, as he was given this message to Helen Schuckman and Bill Thetford 50 years ago. You two are not being vigilant enough. You two are still letting yourself be distracted, and you two are still engaging in mind wandering. Cut it out. And I'm like, that's why I love Jesus as a teacher, because he's so, like, direct. He's just like, come on, you guys. We're not going to sit around and sing Kumbaya. We're here for the salvation of the world, and we're being trained as miracle workers. So we can't just, like, hang around in our weakness anymore and think that we're going to access that power. It literally has to be, okay, I see the fear, I see it, and it is not in charge anymore. So I'm very grateful. That was just a beautiful explanation, Linda. Does anyone else, Linda, Bill or Judy, want to add anything?
Yeah, I want to add. I'm just gonna, when I talk, I think what I have to share from is going to be a different way of looking at the fear, because and do you want me to go now? Are you good with? Okay, so the idea that, number one, the course is about removing the obstacles to the awareness of love's presence, so that we can come to the point of hearing God's voice, of listening. And it actually does take, the course is a year course. It's a 1 year dedication initially, and then it's your life experience, and it's your life journey. This is actually your, this is the blue book. This is the one I started with, and I love it. I still use it today. I love it. I also love the CE edition. It's got some amazing content that the blue book doesn't have in it, but I use them both. And the key to really coming to the place where you can quickly recognize that you have given your attention to fear, like Linda was talking about, you've got your focus on it. You're the landlord, and you rented it a room in your head. And there's the way that you stop renting rooms out in your head is to do the workbook lessons of the course, do the whole course, read it cover to cover, take a year and dedicate your life to the course, because that in and of itself is like the guy who found buried treasure on a piece of land, like Jesus talks about in the New Testament as a parable. And he said he found this buried treasure, and he buried the treasure back, put it back in the ground, went and sold everything that he has, and then he bought the piece of land. And that's an example of the dedication that you really have to devote yourself to understanding the truth that wants to express itself as you, through you, and so that you can have a peace of God experience every single day, 24/7. And the way that you do that is that you do the workbook lessons so that you remove those dark spots, those illusions about who you thought you were, who you thought God was. I used to think God was separate from me, this thing that was outside of me, not realizing that I can actually have a God experience, and I'm having one even right now. I am having a God experience right now and right now and right now, and it never stops. And the way that you hear God's voice, we have a few questions that says that said, how do I hear God's voice? It's not consistent for me. And how do I know if I'm listening to the ego? Or one says, I'm a very creative person with a very creative mind. Sometimes I can't tell the difference between the voice of my inspired ego, which has so many great ideas for me to follow, or the voice of God. Well, there's not an inspired ego. I'm sorry to bust your bubble on that, but there is not an inspired ego. The ego is separation from God. And the way that you hear the voice of God is to know the voice of God. And the way that you know the voice of God is do the workbook lessons, devote yourself to really studying them, really doing the practices of them, not really studying them, but do the workbook lessons. And then what happens when you do that, you come into an experience of a relationship with the Holy Spirit that is not separate from you. It's this holy present self of self-realization. And one of the workbook lessons, I think it's 155, says that, and everyone thinks that enlightenment is like this like supercharged thing that and where you walk on water and only the sages in India or great enlightened teachers have it. And the Course says in one of the workbook lessons, like halfway through, that enlightenment is but a recognition. It's not a change at all. So this one that's called Bill isn't going to change on the physical. And actually, the only thing that's going to change in here is going to be that those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, and those beliefs are no longer running the show, because I, the Christ, I that is the awakened one now, I know myself. I know the self, and I know that I am not separate from God. And the reason that I know the self and that I'm not separate from God is because I did the workbook lessons. I do the work every day. And now with Christ's vision, which is another lesson in the Course, where we learn to see things not as they are, but we see them through the eyes of love. We see things through the presence of God that is what we are. And the way we know this, and this is key in most of the workbook lessons. If you go to workbook lesson 41, it says that God goes with me wherever I go. God goes with us 24/7. God is not separate from us. And in workbook lesson 49, for you guys that are asking about hearing God's voice, God's voice, I think, God's voice speaks to me all through the day is workbook lesson 49. And here's the key for everyone that wants to know how to hear God's voice. This is it. You get quiet. You get quiet. And in this quiet place, and you do this often. In fact, you shouldn't ever miss a day without getting quiet in the morning, and allow that quiet place. Jesus calls it your closet in the New Testament. And in the Course in Miracles, it's the meditation practices where he says to close your eyes. He says it 100 times. Close your eyes so that you're not distracted with the perception of the eyes. Go within. And he says to sink back. And so what he's inviting you to do is he's inviting you to be the sky. He's inviting you to be the clear blue sky, and allowing these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions and all experiences, fears, situations in your life, everything is a cloud, and you are the sky. You are pure awareness. And when you look at any of these things from pure awareness, you are what God is.
Mm-hmm.
You are the very presence of God. And so the practice that I can't say it strong enough, is the practice is having a devotion life in a quiet place,
Mm-hmm.
where you're just abiding in the love of God, just abiding right there in the quiet place, allowing yourself to be the awareness, be of love's presence, be the awareness of it. Don't just be a renter of that space. Own it. Buy the condo. Buy the whole space of abiding in God. And when you do that, you're totally leaving time and space as a person. You're going into this place of experience so that you experience God.
Mm-hmm.
And in that quiet place. And I'm just going to ask you one question. This is a little self-inquiry question that will help you to know if you're in that place. This question is, what is it that knows your experience? What is it that is aware of the experience of thoughts? What is it that is aware of the feelings that you have? What is it that's aware of the monkey mind that's watching that? What is it that is aware of sounds, of the senses? When you locate the answer to that, it's the same for all of us. It's nothing real can be threatened. That's it. That's the place of pure presence, the living presence of God that you are. And this is how you hear God's voice. This is how you notice the noise of the ego versus the noise of the Holy Spirit, is you come into that quiet place and you let all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your beliefs, pain, health issues, financial issues, relationships, no matter what it is, let all of them pass in front of that a place of abiding, where you're abiding in the quiet place of God presence. Let all questions, let all situations or confusion, anything, all choices, let them all pass in front of that abiding place as a passing cloud. And the awareness of pure presence that you are will dissolve anything that is a block to your peace and to your presence and to the true choice that the Holy Spirit would inspire you to make. And you'll just come out of that quiet place. You'll know exactly what to do. You'll know exactly what to say to whom. And it's because you went into the abiding place of God. You went into what you did was you took yourself out of time and space. You went into eternity. It's the Course would call this the holy instant. You realized and remembered that you are the light, and then you brought the light back into the thing that's called your name, and now the person that's masquerading as you now knows what to do in your name, in God's name. And that's how you hear God's voice. You hear God's voice by only wanting God. That's all you want this life to be, is about to know thyself and to know God as creator. But you You demonstrate that by your devotion to your quiet time with yourself, with the Holy Spirit, and with your true divine nature. And I hope that answers your questions, you guys, on hearing God's voice. That's the way I hear God's voice. And sometimes it's audible. Sometimes my brother or sister, after coming out of the quiet place, will tell me exactly what I needed to know or hear. And then often it's just, all of a sudden I have this total certainty that I know what to do now. It's like it came from out of the blue, but it didn't come from out of the blue. It came from out of the light that I am. Thank you all. I love you and I bless you. And thank you for being here with us.
That was such a good explanation. Thank you, Bill. And, I love how in A Course in Miracles, Jesus says that his final lesson was hearing only that voice. And he said that this is what we all must learn to do, that we're hearing two voices in a state of separation when we think we're a body. And to me, this is why Jesus is the most perfect role model of a teacher for me personally, because he demonstrated how to live in this way. And the 40-day program is set up as a way for people to interrupt their life, their beliefs, their thinking, and leave behind all of that and really make a commitment to a 40-day space where they're going to do things differently, think things differently. And if you look at the story from 2,000 years ago, when Jesus left that 40-day space, he did not go back to being a carpenter. He did not go back to his old ways. He went forward. And he spent the next 3 years that he was here on earth in what the Bible calls public ministry. And to me, that's the transition for all of us here, is that you have been called out of the darkness into this space. You didn't even know what you signed up for, but you said yes to it. And now you are moving into your public ministry. Now, what does that mean, public ministry? It means that you're going to embody these ideas. You're going to live them in everything that you do. You're going to carry this love with you, this joy with you. And this light that you are now carrying and acknowledging as one with you, and like Bill said, you're listening to the voice now. You're listening to the light. You are letting it tell you what to do or what not to do. And you are trusting in it in all your heart. So this is a very uncompromising path for all of us here, for you guys listening. This isn't just something of let's take these ideas so we can have a better life. It literally is a call to dedicate your whole life to using your mind for healing and for forgiveness and for love. And if you look at the world, it's a pretty dark place. It needs light. It needs those of us who are saying, yes, I'm going to be the solution and the alternative in this place of darkness. And Bill, you just said it so beautifully. We're carrying the light now back into the dark. We first allow ourselves to go into the light, remember the truth, and now we're carrying it back. We're now offering it to everyone. And to me, it takes practice in hearing only this voice. And Linda Leland.
First of all, Myra has a question I want to address before the end of the call. Probably a great question for Judy, but anyone who could answer. Could you say something about the forgiveness process, bringing the thoughts of fear to the Holy Spirit? Could you give an example?
That's perfect.
I just want to just add to what Bill was saying. So for me, I literally thought eventually I was going to hear another voice out like, Linda, like I was going to hear God's voice saying things to me. Yeah. I really did. I'm like, I'm not hearing it. I don't hear anything.
We all did that.
God's voice is your voice.
Yeah.
It's your voice. And once you start to do this work and you start to address these fears, removing these blocks, and like Bill said, as soon as you start to experience that oneness in the quiet, like you do hear it all day long. For me, I could how do you know here's the simple solution. How do you know if you're hearing God's voice or love's voice or if you're hearing the ego's voice, how do you feel?
Yeah.
It's so clear, and it gets, and like, Lisa's saying, we need to practice. It becomes so clear. So many times during the day, I'll just maybe be going to send a text, and I'm like, nope, like I know I'm not supposed to send that, or an email, or even which to go left or right. It really becomes clear, more and more clear.
Yeah.
So it is your voice, and it is a feeling that and it's sort of like the more you experience peace, even if you have fleeting moments of it, the more you experience joy, full joy or bliss, even if it starts as fleeting moments, the uncomfortable parts get less acceptable. So the more you experience really feeling like you're in alignment, that feeling that it is God's voice sort of in you, the more unacceptable, the more you can just really recognize what it isn't, I guess. So, and it just happens if you just keep going.
I love it. And that's it. It's just, and this is a whole new way of living. I'd like to congratulate also Mary Jean. I love your comment there. And it was your end of day 40 yesterday. And I love that you said, this is my new beginning. And that's it. That was always our hope in creating this program, that people would get it, that it's not that you're doing this program and then it's, oh, now it's over. But now the end is actually the beginning. It's where you say, okay. And now what I love about this topic is now you get to listen. You get to go, okay, now what? What's my next step? And now you're really listening, like whether it is to take one of our programs and do Living in Purpose or the workbook lessons, but you're listening. You're like, okay, what do I do next? And now you're just making that your commitment.
Lisa, you have an echo now.
Yeah, so did you, Linda. You had a little echo too. I was thinking it was Lisa, but I think it's this.
It's all of our energy.
Yeah.
Well, let's all three of us, Linda, Bill, and myself, we're going to hit the mute button on our audio. We're going to hand it over to Judy Morton, and Judy is going to take some of these questions, and like Linda said, there's a great forgiveness question, and then we are going to take a short little break after Judy goes, just refill your coffee mugs, your water mugs, bathroom break, and all of that kind of stuff. But Judy?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yay, my sound is working. So,
yeah, it's good.
I'm so excited to be here. So the first question that I wanted to read, the subject that I'm going to be talking about is seeing loved ones suffer. And then I also wanted to address Myra's question about how to bring fear to the Holy Spirit after this. So Christine wrote in and said, how do we surrender, unhitch our hearts from our children when they are going down the wrong path? Very dangerous choices they are making, and we love them. See their greatness and they don't. That one is huge when it comes to our kids. And there's another one that came through on the same kind of related topic. How do we relate to children who are sick? It's hard to make sense of it. And really, I remember Lisa saying something to me at the very beginning of the 40-day program, because I have 3 kids and 2 of my kids had the label of special needs. And she said to me, especially in regards to my son Cole, who has Down syndrome, she said, do you realize that you chose him and he chose you? And that was the most profound, heart-opening moment. I will never forget it, Lisa, because it was like a whole different way of looking at it. Like I was in a place of feeling like a victim, like, and for him too, like, why is this happening? Why is he going through this? Why does it feel like he appears to be in a state of suffering and illness? And really our only job here as parents is to really see the light within our children and to realize that they are here just as much to teach us as we are to teach them. And I think the way that I look at it is it's almost like leveling the playing field. when I think of my oldest son, I used to have a history of wanting to fix him, thinking that there was something that needed to be fixed. And it literally became like an obsession. Like, I need to get involved. I need to fix this. I need to make it better. And really, when I stepped back and really saw him for exactly who he is, which is a perfect, healed, whole child of God, and I continued to affirm that, everything shifted for him. I'm not kidding you. Everything shifted. And there was this beautiful post from a woman in the 40 day that was going through some similar things with her son. And we had a lot of people writing in and giving her all of this encouragement and really just reminding her of the truth of who her son is. And she said she woke up the next day and she gave him a big hug, and she just shifted the whole way that she spoke to him. And she said he looked up at her and said, "Why are you talking to me so different? What's going on?" Like, he was basically saying to her, "Why aren't you treating me like I'm sick anymore?" And this is where the shift happens. The shift really happens in the way that we're seeing the situation. And some people get confused in this process because they think that they're supposed to step back as a parent and not be a parent anymore. And it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you don't, get treatment for your child if they need it, if they need a therapy, if they need medicine, if there's things that need to happen for their well-being. But the whole way in which you approach them and just really look at the situation and really looking at it through the eyes of God and seeing that child is truly the perfection that they are. And there really isn't anything to fix or change. And when I was thinking about these questions, I was looking at a workbook lesson. It was lesson 129. Beyond this world is the world I want. And when I think of that lesson, really the world I want is the peace of God, right? We don't want to be worried. We don't want to be afraid. We don't want to look at all of these situations and be in a place of fear. And it can be as simple as getting into that quiet space that Bill was saying and explaining so perfectly, abiding in that quiet space and asking for the peace of God. It's that simple. And the other thing that I really wanted to talk about is whatever it is that you feel like is missing within your child or within anybody in your life, something that you think needs to be fixed or something in them needs to be changed. Really, all we have to do is be that for them. So I'll just give an example. My daughter, Katie, she's a teenager and she seems to be completely independent. Like, I joke around with her saying that she was raised by wolves because she just literally is kind of just, beats to her own drum, is extremely independent, which is what I've always wanted for her. But there's been these feelings lately of, gosh, does she even really need me? There's a lot of rolling of the eyes when I talk to her. It's like her whole demeanor has been different. And I started thinking about, what do I really want here? What's really going on here? And I realized that all I need to be for her is love. So if I'm wanting more love from her, I need to be more loving. If I'm wanting more companionship with her and more of a close relationship, I need to be that companion for her. And I literally just changed my mind about how our relationship is going. And I had a moment where I was just sitting with her on the couch, and we were playing with this little whiteboard that she got for her birthday. And I wrote her name out, and I put under each letter of her name something just really beautiful and amazing about her. And I don't know what happened, but it's like ever since I did that, she is like becoming like my best buddy again. Like the other night, my mom was over and she asked me if she could sit on my lap. She's 15 years old. And I was cracking up. I'm like, who is this little girl that was just, felt like she was so far away? And really, when we're thinking about our children, all we want for them is the best. We want them to be in a place of peace and harmony and good health. And they can make some really, really crazy decisions. It can be a really challenging time, especially when you're thinking about teenagers and they're trying to find their independence in the world. And really all we have to do is we just have to just trust God. That's really, it's that simple. It's shifting the way that we look at them. It's trusting and abiding in God that the perfect plan is unfolding, and there isn't anything that we need to change or fix or undo. And then the other part that I really wanted to address, and I just need to take a sip of water, is Myra asked, how do we bring fear to the Holy Spirit? And this one is so near and dear to my heart because hang on, I just want to find her exact question really quick. I'm sorry. I want to make sure that I address it exactly. Could you say something about the forgiveness process? Sorry. Bringing the thoughts of fear to the Holy Spirit. Could you give an example? And this is actually a module that I'm doing for our True Prosperity program on this very thing about the forgiveness process. So it's so perfect that you asked this, Myra. And it's really a process of realizing in the very beginning, whatever it is that you are dealing with, whatever it is that you are experiencing, the first step is realizing the truth, that everything is happening on the level of your mind, that it's all is stemming from your thoughts about the situation. And then it's making a decision. Do I want to hold on to this anymore? Do I want to be in a place of unforgiveness and fear? And if the answer is no, I don't want to hold on to this anymore, then the last step is really giving it to the Holy Spirit and putting it on the altar. And a lot of people ask questions like, what does that really mean to put it on the altar? And what it really means is that you are putting it in a place which is, it's going to be handled by the Holy Spirit. And it's trusting and just really that it's that easy. There isn't anything that you have to try to figure out. There aren't all these steps that you have to take and books that you have to read and movies you have to, because I've seen them all, bought them all, read them all. And you know what? None of them really worked. It's when I finally surrendered and really just gave each and every situation, fear, worry, anything, illness, that child, really giving that child over to the Holy Spirit and just realizing that He's in charge. He is doing all of the heavy lifting. This isn't something that is supposed to be a burden and a worry. So I hope that that's helpful. Thank you for letting me share that.
That was totally helpful. I just adore you, Judy. I'm going to actually come up with the letters on your name. That is such a cool experience, to take the letters of your name and write down something that's the truth of each one. And Linda?
I just want to say one quick thing, Judy. That was so awesome. But I too had in my
Linda, can we take a break before you continue?
No, just let her finish, and then we'll take a break.
Okay, great. I too had a daughter, a teenage daughter who was making really, it's like, a mother's worst nightmare. Drugs, alcohol, self-harm. I mean, literally lighting her arms on fire and anxiety. And I, for probably 5 years at least, like Judy said, in my vision, it felt like I had a boat, and she would jump out of the boat into the drowning water, and I would pull her out, and I would put on her life jacket, and I would electrical tape on him, and I'd row her over to the next solution like a maniac. And she'd jump out. We kept doing this for 5 years. I tried to fix her desperately in every single solitary way I could, and nothing worked. And this was before I was involved in A Course in Miracles, but somebody said to me, I said, I'm afraid if I stop trying to fix her, she'll die. And two people actually, the same day said to me, she might. And she might go like this for another 25 years. Do you think it's helpful for you to go like this with her?
Yeah.
If you're not in the car, this is just a metaphor. If you're outside the car, which keeps getting into a car accident, now you can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what that was sort of just what God says. So when I decided to let go and put her in God's hands, everything got better like this. If you knew the brilliant, sober, magnificent light being this woman is now, but it's almost as soon as I let go and I put her in God's hands. And now I could hear if there was anything of mine to do. I could hear from a place of love if there was something for me to do that would be truly helpful to this child instead of just like a crazy fear lady not helping anything. So it seems scary. It seems like sort of totally go against what we're taught as parents. And like Judy said, it's not that you don't do anything, but you don't just react out of fear. You put them in God's hands, and you trust and you love them, like Judy said, and you'll be told if there's something for you to do. Other than that, leave it up to God, who's got it handled.
I love that you shared that story, Linda, and your daughter, she is incredible. And really, like when we come back from the break, we're going to take a little quick break here. We're going to show a little video on the break about living in purpose. And you guys can go use the bathroom, get a little water. But this path is very disorienting. And I see some of the comments here. We're going to address them when we come back. I'm going to also talk about body issues when we come back. But this is a complete reversal of, like you said, Judy, most books, most ways that we've been taught about positivity and making life better. It literally is a whole new way of living where you let go of the attachment. Like I love that you share that story, Linda, of really being willing to just let her go whatever path is needed. And trusting totally without any kind of like idea of, oh, this will help her, and then she'll become brilliant. It's like, no, I'm just going to release my attachment. Somebody wrote about divorce on here. You know, what do I do about, my divorce? How do I find the strength? Because when you say yes to this path, to remembering the love that you are, your life will shift. That's normal. That's totally, totally normal. And everything that's buried starts to come to the surface. Your friend shifts. Your jobs begin to shift. Your purpose begins to shift. Your health even begins to shift. And sometimes for the worse. We're going to talk about that when we get back. But it's like you come into this place now where you just have such a deep commitment and a trust to simply being here available to listening, that you're no longer attached to what is happening. It's like you come into this place of grace. And you just, it literally is through grace that you come into grace. And so we're going to take a quick break here and just a few minutes. How long, Bill?
2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Ha.
And we'll be right back.
Would you like to live with focus, abundance, clarity, and joy? The Living in Purpose Mastery Program is an intensive coaching program to help you live the principles of A Course in Miracles every day consistently. This course is bundled with 2 of our other mastery courses to give you everything you need to be able to live a life of joy and abundance. Inside of Living in Purpose, here is what you will receive. The Living in Purpose Mastery course is 24 weeks of training to apply the principles of A Course in Miracles to every situation in your life. The Prosperity and Purpose Program. This is 24 weeks of prosperity practices designed to create unlimited and permanent abundance in your life. This course is currently only available to Living in Purpose students and cannot be purchased separately. The ACIM 365 program. Daily guidance to complete the workbook lessons of A Course in Miracles in 1 year. This course sells on its own in our school for $247, but you will get it free. And lifetime membership of community, support, and curriculum. This is a life-changing experience. The key to seeing total transformation is putting these principles into action all the time, with all your heart. And for the next 24 hours, the Teachers of God Foundation is offering this course at 22% off of the regular price for all webcast attendees. So be sure to register today to lock in your discount. Dedicate the next year of your life to yourself, to God, and to A Course in Miracles, and watch your life transform. See you inside.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Okay. Yes. Welcome back. And yeah, we're just so grateful that you're here. And like we always do on these calls, we offer Living in Purpose at a huge discount during these webinars. And this one is for $975 until Monday. And you can sign up. It includes the ACIM 365 program. We have lots of awesome monthly live calls and just incredible community, and it's available to you. And like we said, it's just there. It's always there, and you can really do this on your own. And we know that that's totally there for you also. But if you need support and a little extra love and a little extra push all the time, it is here for you. And yes, Linda.
So I just wanted to say that they're also now, to make it easy for people, we put together this, you can pay in full, but there's 6-month payment plans and also 12-month payment plans, no interest. So it's just a great, it's a great way to be able to do it. And you get a prayer partner, and it's not for everybody living in purpose. It's for those who want to make shifting from fear into love their top priority and want to live that way every day with coaches and community. And if that's you, you know it's you. If it's not you, that's great. Like Lisa said, you don't need that program. So
I love all the comments, and I am going to start talking about body issues. And I'm just going to read some of these questions that came in. And the first one says, "Hi, Lisa. Is it right to exercise and look after the body, or is it a trap by the ego we fall into? See lesson 135. If we want to be the light of the world, isn't it helpful to do so from a healthy base? Much confused. Thank you so much." And to me, everything in this work is about listening. And to me, that's the answer to everything. And for me, I've told this story before. I used to be in a spiritual community. I gave away all my earthly things. I dedicated my life to God. It was incredible. It was 10 years. I left New York City. I moved to Wisconsin, and that was a listening for me. And what happened during those 10 years was I was very ethereal. Like, my energy was way out. I didn't care about the body. I didn't care about money. At the time, I couldn't see that those beliefs were running the show, but I knew that something happened after that whole experience where I was getting a very deep voice. Like Linda said, it was my voice. It was God's voice, the voice that is within the light, that was inviting me to come back into the body, to be back in the world. And again, this is my experience. I don't really know what it's going to be for anybody else, but I knew, okay, I have to stop being all ethereal. And I kept trying to leave the body. I kept thinking, I'm not a body. Why am I in a body? I'm guilty for having a body. And I would try all these crazy things to actually make the body dissolve. I mean, I was one of those ones that just didn't want to be here in the world. And I had no money. and my weight just expanded. You know, I was 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And it's because I wasn't integrated. Like, to me, this is a total integration where you're not doing anything to fix the body, but you're being present and you're listening. I wasn't really listening. And to me, when that all happened, I made a commitment to be fully in the body. And the way some paths describe it is chakras. You know, it's like all my upper chakras were totally open. You know, I was just living from my heart, loving God. But all the lower chakras totally closed. I was pushing people away. I didn't want to be in a relationship. I thought I was above that. I didn't care about money, and I literally had none. I couldn't put gas in my car. I would sometimes have $2 to put into my car when gas was $4 a gallon. People would ask me to go do stuff. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go for a cup of coffee with someone because I didn't have the money. And these are all beliefs that I didn't want to look at. And so A Course in Miracles now is an invitation for us to look at every single belief that we have and to be willing to remove it, to look at it. And so when this happened for me, this was in 2010, when I really felt, okay, Lisa, you need to be in the world now. You need to stop trying to leave the world and stop trying to have an experience. I kept, like Linda said, that voice, Lisa, you know, I was like, stop trying all of that. Be so present. And I had this idea of being deliberately in the body, not as the body, but just to be present in it. And for me, what that looked like on the practical level was I said, I'm willing to work. Well, before I wasn't willing to work a job. I just thought, no, I don't need to work a job. God's going to take care of me. I didn't care about money. I'd let all my credit card debt go. The credit card companies didn't know where I was. I had stopped writing to them. They couldn't find me. And I just kept using spiritual concepts to say there is no world. There is no world and I'm not a body. But I knew, you know deep down when you are avoiding something. And I was in a state of extreme doubt. And so in 2010, I was like, all right, Lisa, I'm open to relationships. I'm open to working a job. I'm going to pay my credit card debt now. I'm going to call all those companies. It was the worst fear of my life, calling those companies. I said, here I am. Here's my new address, my new phone number, my email. I don't have a job. I don't know how I'm going to pay you, but here I am, and I'm going to pay it somehow. And to me, that's this work. And so it's a question like this, do I exercise? Just ask, really ask within. You know, I feel better when I move. I do. I feel great. Like, I like it. You know, Bill and I are actually on this little 30-day challenge right now. He is much better than I am at exercising. He makes a commitment to do something. He had knee surgery last fall. It was the second knee surgery he's had. And he bought a spinner. We have a spinner right outside the room here, and a bicycle. And he was told, you know, the healing will be real fast if you work those muscles. Yeah, okay. And he gets on that thing every single day, 20 minutes, totally crushes it. He gets off and he's like Superman, you know, and he's got his music on and he's like happy. But not to be healthy or anything. It's just like he's listening and he's following and he's trusting and he's doing it. And so to me, that's the first one. The second one, I have worked on myself for a long time, and this course is wonderful. I'm a little confused with the aspect of not being a body. I understand that I am a child of God and therefore spirit, but what about being grounded and in your body? How do these concepts compare? So I pretty much just answered that one in my explanation of you're not a body. You are spirit. I love the question, Bill, that you asked at the beginning of what is aware of the experience that you're having. Like, that's what you truly are. Like, we are the light. We are the love. We are not a body. And so in the clarifications of terms with what is Jesus Christ, it says that Jesus was a man who completely identified with the Christ and therefore became a man no longer. And he became what all of you must become. Therefore, he leads the way. And to me, that's what it means that I'm not a body. That I, which is speaking right now, is the Christ. It is the love that I have identified with the love I am, with the light that I am. And it is that is speaking. And it seems like it's coming through the body, but I am not the body. And, you know, I'm going to share another little story that I had years ago of, some of you may or may not know this, but my worldly experience is one of having no sound coming in my ears without hearing aids. None. And I started losing my hearing around the 3rd grade. And I started wearing hearing aids when I was 18, and I'm 49 now. And during those 10 years, the hearing aids broke. They're extremely expensive. They're about $10,000. They probably cost even more now to get them. And I kept thinking, I'm doing something wrong because I can't hear. If I'm doing the work right, I could hear perfectly. And then I started thinking, I guess I don't need to hear. If I needed to hear, God would open my ears up and I would have a full experience of healing. And I literally didn't get hearing aids. There was no sound for 1 year. And it was the worst year of my life. That was so black because there was no sound. And I was so angry at God. And I kept thinking, what am I doing wrong? And now I can see what I was doing wrong, and I'm making myself guilty. I was identifying with the body, trying to heal the body, being angry, and waiting for the future for my life to begin. And I woke up one day. I literally got it one day that I am the light. I am it now, and you go get hearing aids. And I got them. Like $10,000. I didn't have any money back then. But I had the thought, find out if there's assistance to get them. And I found out that I could apply for a scholarship for the state of New Hampshire. And I got a full scholarship, $10,000 they gave me that went directly to the hearing aid doctor. And now I hear perfectly. I do radio shows, I travel, I teach, I hear great with hearing aids. And so I use that example to really stop waiting for a physical healing. This world needs you as you are. And, you know, the next 2 questions are about that. You know, I have bone density tests done in 2013, which shows I have osteoporosis. I chose not to go on those intense medications. Then 2015 and 17 show further bone loss. I've been working with a nutritionist and I'm physically active. My doctor would now like me to see an endocrinologist to make sure something else isn't going on. How do I pray about this and go to the Course in Miracles route of healing? Then the Course in Miracles route of healing is to remember what you are in truth. That's it. That it is now. You are whole and you are perfect. The light you are is perfect. And then listen. You listen for what your next step is. Like if you go, I think it's great to go to a nutritionist and go to a doctor if that's what you're being called to do, to be physically active. Use everything in your dream to really bring you to this place where you feel that strength. You know, I saw yesterday on the internet, this guy gorgeous guy, they showed the before and after pictures, and just physically stunning, hot guy. And something happened where he got a tumor and it literally took over his entire face, his whole face on this side. It covers his eye. He can't see on this eye. You can only see half of his mouth, and it's this big bulging thing. And you can see the joy in the side. You can see the joy. You can see his liveness. And his story is so great because he said he realized, like, in the whole thing, like, nothing can kill the spirit he is. Nothing can stop the light that you are from shining. Only your own thoughts and fears about it. So to me, that's the whole body issue thing. And the final one is the same thing. I've had a pain in my foot for over 4 months. I have seen a doctor, but little relief. I feel that there is a belief behind it, but I have not been able to access, and that's true. And to me, that's the healing work. It's like you're really just looking at what is going on here in my mind, and where's the focus? The focus is on the body. So to me, the healing always is to start identifying with the light. And you'll notice that to me, like I know I still have physical stuff that goes on in me. If I shift my perspective and I just focus on the light and I focus on what is God's will, what am I here to do, there is no pain. It just goes away. And I see that nothing can stop me. I've been using the prayer, talked about it in the 40-day program, but as yet found no relief. It is constant discomfort. And I want all of you to watch your thoughts. Is it constant? Seriously, that's a pretty all or nothing statement. It is a constant discomfort and limiting much of my activity. So to me on this one, it would be to see, oh, it's actually not constant. It's not, that's a belief. A belief that it's constant discomfort makes you think it's constant. But if you actually pay attention, you're going to notice, oh, it's actually not constant. I don't feel it while I'm sleeping. I don't feel it while I'm talking on the telephone. I don't feel it while I'm doing whatever. And so you change your belief. And then you'll see, oh, it's not all the time. And also this one, limiting much of my activities. What Jesus says about this in A Course in Miracles is that when you say yes to this work, it is the light that's doing the work, and nothing can limit your activities. Nothing. You will see that when the Christ is leading you, that's all there is. So body issues. I mean, it's to me the body is the ego's greatest defense for keeping you in the limitation. And again, it really is a listening practice. To me, that's the whole Course in Miracles is really in service to the light. And now the body becomes a healthy, serviceable instrument to extend the love. I want to just show you one final thing before my sweetheart Bill Free gave me this for Christmas a few years ago. Isn't she sweet? And I keep her on my desk because to me, I love this reminder of the extension, you know. To me, this is how I live my life. I want to stay light, free, joyful, and with the arms outstretching, flying, like she's free and she's extending. And this right here, living this way, solves all my problems. So I hope that was helpful, and I'd love to hear from you guys on the body issue thing.
I wasn't going to speak to the body issue. I was going to speak to the question on reincarnation real quick because...
Okay, well, before you get to that, can we just stick with the body issue from Judy and Linda if they want to, and then we'll tie that one up and then go on.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Linda or Judy? No sound.
Judy, do you want to go first?
You go, Linda.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Lisa. That was so awesome. And I love how the Course just really tells us that our body is sort of a tool of the mind. We think that we start off here thinking our mind is inside the body, that it's up here, and then we learn that it's actually the other way around. That this is a thought held within the mind, and it directly sort of reflects the integrity of the mind, and that certain emotions and certain feelings alter. These certain thoughts alter this because that's what this is. This is the extension of those thoughts. I mean, David Hawkins has a great chart of how there's these lower thoughts, these lower fears and guilt and shame, these lower vibrations. And he even says that sometimes like medications won't even work under there. Like when you get, like he talks about, he said he's done studies. Once people have gone past workbook lesson 90 of A Course in Miracles, they're not even affected by ultraviolet lights anymore. So other things out there that would affect a vulnerable body that is full of fear and doubt and shame. Well, the body's not so vulnerable anymore when you changed how you're thinking. And that's where all healing occurs. And, and it isn't a big, huge deal, and it isn't a big, long process. It doesn't have to be forever. Your mind can't hold two thoughts at once. So if you're thinking a fear thought, switch it to something higher, something that, a gratitude thought, a courageous thought, a loving thought. Or just do some of the work as far as we talked about earlier, fears. Like just ask to have this separation removed. You're automatically lifted up to a place of healing. He also talks about a woman who had advanced MS, who, after doing the workbook lessons of A Course in Miracles, was completely healed because all those fear thoughts were healed. So just keep going and keep doing the work. Whatever you, like Lisa said, your naturopaths, whatever you want to do, great. But the more you focus on shifting from fear to love, the more that stuff will work.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I do want to just mention too. I'm glad you said that, Linda, because to me, there's always a possibility of a total healing in the physical in that way. I've seen it in myself. And so I don't want people to think, oh, well, I just have to live with this thing then. But it really has to start with stop futurizing that you're going to start your life later. Like, to me, what happened with the hearing aids when I really came out of that place where I had so many things that I couldn't do. I just said, I can't do a radio show. I can't do this. I can't teach. I couldn't even be with people. I said no to everybody for a year. I literally didn't go outside. If I would go outside, I would make sure it was during a time when nobody was going to stroll by. And I was like, oh my God, enough of that. Enough of living as if I'm a weak, limited being. And in that, everything shifted. I started just living. And so I always really encourage people to think about these questions in here with the foot pain, the bone density. What would you be doing and how would you be feeling when the miracle happens? This is how time gets collapsed. So you're saying limiting much of my activities. Okay, what are the activities that you think you're not doing because of the foot? And then I suggest you go do them. You step in and you start doing them, or at least in your mind get into the feeling of what those activities represent to you, because the ego is a sneaky little beast and it will stop you every step of the way. And so you're really seeing okay, wow, this is all available to me, that feeling of joy and freedom and happiness. And then you see that the experience just floats out away like an iceberg on the river. And Judy?
Oh, thanks, Lisa. I love what you just said. And just regarding the body issue piece, we get so many emails like this, so I'm so glad that these questions are coming up. And what you said, Lisa, about getting into the feeling of what it's like to be healed, to be healthy, to have the energy that we want, to feel well, it really comes back to that vibratory power of words. And really what we notice, I see people that come into the 40-day, and as they shift going through that program, the whole way that they talk about themselves changes. It's beautiful to experience, and we've all gone through it ourselves. It's really just changing your whole language and not talking about everything that hurts and all of the ailments or things that you're experiencing. It doesn't mean that you push it down and you act like nothing's going on. People still need to get the therapy and the treatment that's been prescribed for them. We're not asking people to just, like what you were saying, Lisa, before you got the hearing aids. There's this feeling that we go through, especially as course students, that there's something wrong if we're not in, like if we're not actually in that place of complete healing. But really it's a journey for all of us. And if you can actually get into that feeling of, and journaling helps a lot too, because once that's the key. It's not the law of attraction. It's not just writing down, I want this, I want that. It's actually operating from a place that you already are healed, you are perfect, you are whole. And it's like the universe has no choice but to come up and meet you in that place. It really, and the universe is really God. So I love that part about just, getting into the feeling of what it really feels like. It's how you answer all the questions, Lisa, that I remember in the very beginning. Where is this person locating themselves, right? Where are they coming from? And a lot of times where they're coming from in the beginning is, it all seems very real. And then we start talking about illusion and people are like, what? No, this is really happening. So it's not pushing anything away or denying that anything is there, but it's operating from a place and a feeling that you are absolutely perfect and whole. And then it's like, it just takes a while sometimes for the body to catch up with the mind and the heart. So I love all this.
Awesome, Judy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna add to that body thing. Trinity actually answered Karen's question on the reincarnation. Reincarnation is another belief, and the Course speaks to it specifically in the Manual for Teachers. It seems to be happening, and it kind of is, just like this is happening, but it's also a belief. And all of these issues, the body issues, the health issues, the children's issues, all of these issues are all about believing that you're a person and you have associated yourself as the person identity. And your release is recognizing that you're not that he's not that, she's not that, this issue isn't that, reincarnation isn't that. That's why Jesus says, in reality, reincarnation is not so, but because we think it is, it seems to be an experience. And the idea that the goal actually of the Course is to bring us to a place where we recognize from within that we're not this body. We recognize that she's not this body, that we recognize that this thought is just an experience that is occurring, and the one that watches that, the one that is aware of that, is I am. And the whole teaching of the Course is to bring us to the experience of the being. The goal of the Course is to know thyself. And when you know thyself, you can have a business meeting with someone else. You can have a discussion with your partner, with your children, with your employees, with your boss, with the checkout clerk, and you can be in that present awareness experience, watching the experience that's happening, but you're not giving all of your attention to it. You're allowing it to be the experience that is also seen. And from that place, you're not pulled and pushed and pulled into reacting to the circumstances that appear to be real, because you know this is but an illusion. And at the same time, that you're allowing things to happen, and you're not trying to fix them, you're not trying to correct them, you're allowing things to occur without being in control of the circumstances the way they're appearing. And there was a couple of questions that came in late, and I'm just going to answer the one from Mary Kay, and she said,
I have one here too.
My false self is a big control freak and a big people pleaser. I keep falling back into that way of being and I've been working on it for years. I experienced small pieces of freedom. Sure wish I could sustain it. And that's a great question. Almost everybody has it, and until they don't. And the way that you allow, I mean, a lot of it's, especially type A personalities, you're looking at 4 control freaks right here. And the way that we stop that is we notice, like, if there's energy on something, or if we're controlling something, or we're controlling an outcome of something, or we're beating ourselves up or beating somebody else up, the way to stop that is to pause. Just pause and notice. Give yourself the pause and notice the control freak at work. You are the pause. Your awareness, your pure presence. And the control freak is an image of yourself. It's a false image. And when you allow yourself to pause in the presence of awareness, you're shining a big, big floodlight on that control freak. You're shining a big, big spotlight on that false image of yourself. And it is dissolving like an ice cube in hot water, man. Keep doing it. Don't stop doing it. And thank you for your awesome questions, all of you guys. I want to say you guys are so awesome for hanging out with us on a Saturday and for inviting us to be part of your transformation, inviting us to be part of the total change in consciousness. And we're all doing it together. And I love being on this path with you. Thank you for joining with us. And Linda?
Yeah, and I also wanted Linda just to say, I know you're going to jump in. I would love for us to look at Colleen's question, thing on here.
Okay, we will. I also have a question here from Joan, who's on our chat room. So yes, Bill, that was so good. And you know, I hate to be redundant, but it's the same. I told you, fear comes in many, many different forms. I'm going to read Joan's rendition of her fear here, but you know, controlling things, you know, so there's one answer. We think we're separate and alone. When you're a control freak, you're trying to manage things out here in such a way that you're safe and that you feel good about yourself, or you think, you know, it's not trusting God, it's thinking you're alone. People pleasing is usually trying to feel love. You want to be loved. You are loved. You think you're alone and you're the separate entity that needs some love, so I'm going to try to get people to love me. So it's whatever it is, it's all the same thing. You feel separate. You don't know your true identity, and that's, you know, that's how you heal being a control freak. That's how you heal being a people pleaser. That's how you heal feeling like you're alone in the world. That's how you heal your sickness. That's how you heal your money problems. I mean, but go on and on. List them down here in the chat room. It's the same exact answer. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to read Joan's because she posted it a while ago, and I said we would try, and it was Douglas's too. She said, I notice you all have significant others and children to love and share your lives with. How does one find peace and joy when you are alone, 55 years old, with no life partner or children? I have so much love to share. It's hard to feel that you're not alone when you are. And then Douglas said, I'm in the same situation, 56 years old. So if somebody wants to address that, I mean, I think I just did, but maybe in someone else's words. Judy?
I'm so glad you read, because I actually flagged that question because I really wanted to answer. It was so good. They're all so good.
That's awesome.
So this one is huge, and we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier on the webinar. If you're feeling alone and you're wanting more love in your life, all you have to do is extend. So being that love that you feel is missing, there's the angel, is really just joining a Course in Miracles group, maybe being more active in the 40-day group. This foundation is a huge loving family, and we support each other, encourage each other. And what we do is we don't spend time getting into the story or trying to fix or give advice. Mm-hmm. We see the light that everyone truly is, and we just shine it for them when they've momentarily forgotten who they are. Yep. So extend, extend, extend. And that could be in so many different places and ways. And all you have to do is go to your guide. And like for me, every morning when I wake up, I just say the prayer that is in the, in the Course of Miracles. Lord, here I am. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? It's that simple and that easy. So anything that you feel is missing in your life, if you actually become that, you will actually be in a place where everything that you feel was missing, it just doesn't, it shifts everything. So
I just want to say that too, because it is a great community. I mean, like when you look at that 40-day group and the Living in Purpose group and all the Teachers of God groups, it literally is attracting individuals who want to know the love they are and extend it. And so it literally could become its own little Match.com. I mean, you and Gus found each other in the 40-day program. You're in California, he's in Chicago. Like we have 2 people in our Friday morning Course in Miracles group. They just hooked up with each other. It's like, it's for anyone who's, I loved your answer. That was so good. Extend, extend, extend. Because so much of the world is just lonely. Everyone wants to meet. And I think we're all getting sick of just looking at things on the electronics and the cell phones. We want to be face to face with people. And, each one of us could even say, okay, wow, I'm going to just open up my home for a Course in Miracle group or for a get together or something or like you said, just become more active in the groups and then really just be amazed by what comes from that.
Lisa, will you turn your mic off and on? I think you're the one that's causing the echo. Just turn your mic off and on.
And watch where your attention goes. If your attention is always on, I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone, that's what you're going to get every single day. Like Judy says, VPOW, the power of your thoughts and your words. Really, like I said earlier, we're too lazy with our minds. We sit around with that too long. Really, really work on keeping your attention on God and asking to see that you're not alone. And look for that everywhere you go, and you'll find it. And be that, like they said. But just watch how long you lament over that and beat that drum over and over again, because that, like I said, that's just kind of focusing on the surface where nothing can get healed. Get down to the core of that, which is you feeling separate and alone.
Yeah, and I just want to say that for you guys that think you need a partner, maybe it's not time yet. And it's critical that you realize that you come to a place where you know that you don't need a partner, that you absolutely are taken care of. You absolutely are one with God, and make that connection with the self in that quiet place that's not needy, that doesn't need to be, doesn't need a partner to fill something that seems to be missing. And that's what happened with Lisa and I. I came to a place where I'm going, I don't want a relationship. I'm good without one. And then she came along and I'm going, oh, I'd hook up with her in a New York minute. But I wasn't needing it. I wasn't looking for it. I had crossed it off my bucket list as even caring about it. And then it showed up because I only was seeking after God. And it's funny that Lisa has this kind of little thing that she says to people that if you want a partner, you need to chase after God that so devoted, so intensely that they'll have to chase God to find you. And that's the answer to it. You have to take relationship wanting to, I feel like I'm alone. You need to come into the place of the quiet place. Put those things on the altar like Judy was talking about. That's one of my favorite metaphors, is putting those things on the altar, give them to the Holy Spirit, come into the closet, into the quiet place. Anything that you think that you need in finances, healing, relationships, things with your children, come into that quiet place, put them into the light, and the light will take care of it for you. But you have to be vigilant for that, and you have to make that your dedication.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things that A Course in Miracles says as an instruction, stop using the body's eyes. So we look out and we don't see another body there, and we think we're alone, and we think there's a future that there will be a partner there. And what the invitation is for this work, and it is very disorienting. Like, I'm glad that the comments say that, because it's a whole different way of living. And before I got together with Bill, that's exactly what I did. I was single, and I just said, okay, wow, I'm not single. I have a partner. And I looked at like what a life with the partner felt like to me. And I did it all before Bill. I just thought, wow, I'm social. I go outside. I have friends. I didn't have friends. I'm not kidding you guys. Everyone thinks I'm all popular and social. I literally had no one. And I just had this vision of myself going out and interacting and engaging with life again. And you know what I did? I started doing it on the spot. I said, I'm not waiting for a body to come along. I'm going to live as if I have the best partner ever right now. I changed my entire mental attitude. I started finding people to go hang out with. I started going down to Boston, where I knew there was a Course in Miracles group an hour away. And then I met Bill, you know. But by the time Bill and I got together, I didn't need a partner. He didn't need a partner. You're already complete. You already know, oh, I have everything I need. And that's when love comes. So I just wanted to make sure before we're at the end of our time, I get this one from Colleen, and she says, hello to you all. I don't have a question, but would like to share how all of you have been a part of all the beautiful changes that have been happening with me. The 40-day program was very eye-opening and beautiful healing and transformations in relationships with others and myself have taken place. After completing the program, I realized that although I had committed to being 100%, I was pushing the uncomfortable emotions aside and not fully facing them. To me, that is any difficulty you're having right there. She just said it. Is that you might say you're 100% committed, but I want you to be honest with yourself. Are you pushing the uncomfortable feelings away? You have to say, okay, wow, I am 100% committed to finding all the unconscious hidden beliefs that are running the show in my life, and I am willing to face them. This is transformation, and to allow the love that you are to dissolve those fears. So she said, so I began on my year-long ACIM workbook lessons and practices thanks to the link you sent with the free download of A Course in Miracles. I am on lesson 46, and I am loving the experience, and I am fully dedicated and love my morning time with God in A Course in Miracles. I am also participating in the True Prosperity course, and wow. After many years of not having employment and struggling to find a job path that would lead me to my purpose, my vision has become clearer. I had a professional resume writer offer to write my resume for me, and after I tweaked it a tiny bit, it felt right. I emailed it out on Sunday night, and Monday I had an interview, and although I had no experience at all in this field, I was offered a part-time position at the interview.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Stories like this. Tuesday, I received an email saying that a full-time position unexpectedly opened and they would love to have me on their team. This is the beautiful light of God making things happen. I want to say she took the steps. I want you guys to see that. She took the steps. She rewrote a resume. She sent it in. She wasn't waiting for a miracle to come out of nowhere. She was listening. She recognized where she was hiding, and she was willing to come out of hiding, and then the miracle, quote unquote, happens. It says, this is the beautiful light of God making things happen. And although I am observing the fear, doubt coming up, I surrender it to Jesus and feel it go, replaced with light, joy, and love. So beautiful. Knowing that I don't know anything, but God is placing me where I need to be. Trust. Thank you, each of you, for bringing this to me. You are all gifts to the world. Lots of love, Colleen. Oh, I thank you, Colleen, for writing that. And you described right there in that paragraph how it works. Linda?
Oh, sound.
I just wanted to make sure I talked a little bit about our programs, or not, but you can't do this work by yourself. So I love our programs because it's like having a coach. It's like, if you or a guide, if you were trying to get somewhere, you have someone who's been there already, you have groups of people to cheer you on, because the ego does get loud, fear does get loud. I definitely have transformed my level of peace and my level of joy, and everything outside showed up to meet it. And like I said, I'm not telling you about this program because I work for the Teachers of God Foundation. I work for the Teachers of God Foundation because of this program, because I was so changed that I want this for everybody. And like we always say, you don't need this program, but for me, I think it saved 1,000 years of listening to fear for me. I always had somebody there to bring me back, no matter what. And like we said, the ego is cunning. It's cunning. It's going to really try. It doesn't want you to choose love. It wants you to stay in this hamster wheel for another 500 years. I'm exaggerating, maybe not. So I don't know. For me, we have programs with support. Like I said, with Living in Purpose, you get ACIM 365 too. It's a lifelong program. We have 2 coaching calls just like this, except audio every month. You get a prayer partner. It's just constant community and support. And if you don't want to do that, join a Course in Miracles group in your community. Find one. Start one. Don't do this alone. Don't give up. Keep going. If you don't understand something, that's perfectly okay. You'll understand it when you're supposed to. If you get the book and you open and you go, what? Which is what happened to me, and but one sentence blows your mind. Just love up that one sentence and keep going. Pretty soon you're going to go back to that page and you, like me, and go, why did I only highlight that one sentence? There's so much good here. It all comes in as needed. You are totally guided. And the reason I love the program, it's like, I think that God is always calling us forward to our greatest potential, always. It's like I'll love the example of an acorn becoming a mighty oak tree, or an embryo just brilliantly transforming into a baby. That's God. We're all being guided by that brilliance. Mm. But the embryo and the acorn never like take a left turn and think, no, I got this on my own. I got to do this my way. And so that's what we do. And I had people that stopped me and brought me back to that line over and over again, and that was invaluable. So find that somehow, some way. That's why this foundation was created by Lisa and Bill, was to support people and to bring more light and love to this world. And then they encourage people to support other people. So now we have this huge group of people, and it's just incredible, and I just want it for everybody. So that's my 2 cents. And we do have different payment plans, so don't let it be about the money. It's an incredible program that you'll love.
I love it. Where's the link for it on? Is it on here? Is it listed?
I think Amy did put it on here.
It's on.
Living in Purpose. Yep. So there, it's under. You click these buttons at the top. It's right there. And
we have a question from Anna here saying, what is your recommendation regarding doing the 40-day program in conjunction with the workbook lessons and the other programs that are offered? Should I do one at a time? I was on lesson 25 when I started the 40-day program, and so I put the workbook on hold. What do you recommend?
Yeah, to me, I always, if you're already doing the workbook lessons, keep going with them. Many people who get into the 40-day have never heard of A Course in Miracles, so I always suggest to do the 40-day first. Just really immerse yourself and have that total experience of who you are, and then begin the workbook lessons. But if you're doing them already, just keep going. And to me, what I want to say is that it does require a commitment. It requires structure in order, like Bill said, it's a 1-year course. And that's just the beginning. That's the dismantling of your thought system. So you start to think about, what does your life currently look like? What are your distractions? How much time are you spending on the internet and on Facebook? How much time are you texting? What does your morning routine look like? What does your evening routine look like? How much TV are you watching? Where is your focus going? And you just make a commitment. Okay, this is my new commitment. I am a miracle worker, and I am dedicated to completing A Course in Miracles from start to finish, if that's your commitment. 31 chapters, manual for teachers, 365 lessons, takes a year, and the year goes by like that. It will be over, and you will live in a totally new way.
Yeah.
And so it does require going, okay, what needs to shift in my life? If you've heard this a million times from all the just top personal development teachers, if you want something in your life to change, something has to change. And it's your thinking, it's your habits, it's your attitude, it's the way you look at yourself, it's the way you look at the world. So you can't just keep doing what you've been doing and expect things to change. That's why I love Colleen's letter so much at the end. She saw it. She said, oh, okay, I said I was 100% committed, but no, actually, I wasn't. And she made a decision. She said, when I got that, I began my own year-long Course in Miracles workbook lessons. And she must have had to rearrange her schedule to do that. She must have done some new things. And then new things begin to happen. And so this is the invitation really to all of you.
And it works.
It
just works. That's all I can tell you. And right now you just don't know what you don't know. Because but it works. And just keep going one way or the other. And I forgot to mention too that we are offering a discount for everybody here. I think it's like $300 off, something like that, only until midnight on Monday. Mm-hmm. And that it does, the Living in Purpose program also includes ACIM 365. That's commentary every single morning for a year from Lisa to finish the workbook lessons of A Course in Miracles. And she makes it user-friendly and understandable, and it goes right into your heart, and you get these programs forever. So anyway, it's just miraculous. So yes, till midnight tomorrow, and this webinar replay will only be available until midnight Monday, not tomorrow, till midnight Monday. So
it replays in 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then okay, so just want to let you know that there is a huge discount offered, and there's a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. So if you get into Living in Purpose and for whatever reason you don't want to stay, it's not for you, you don't like the color of Lisa's shirt in the video, no questions asked, full refund, because we know that it's a program that is so spectacular. We want you to feel the same way, and you will.
So listen, everyone, I just want to mention that you will be included in our notice for the October 21st coaching call that we'll do, and the one we have in December. You'll also be getting a notice on that. And this has been fantastic for us to be able to share with you from our heart the truth of what we are, what you are. You are what God is, and you're created the same as God is. And thank you for being with us. I love you.
Bye, everybody. Love you.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Judy and Lisa and Bill. Thank you, guys. You're awesome.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.